We do not condone any racism towards Irish people.
That's not on record, is it?
No, it's not.
It's on the Facebook Live.
And if it was, I'll edit it out.
That's hilarious.
Okay. We treat everybody equally, regardless of sexuality, race, religion, ethnic group.
We love white boys.
Is that?
All that.
That's right.
When my dad passed, my granddad passed away.
Sit back.
In fact, my
No, I
dad
mean,
found about £30,000
okay, you
just
need
in
to
shoeboxes lying around the house.
I think it's good.
Just in shoeboxes. Because I think he worked. Eventually,
I
they
need
was
to go
allowed the
and
box,
put the live one.
bank. But then
Oh, sorry, yeah.
once they started to have that mentality, he always just never. I don't think he ever.
He kept it.
Yeah, he just used to have loads of cash. So a lot of it was out of date as well. And he changed it all up. Yeah.
That's quite remarkable.
I do like the styles in the start of this film.
Yeah,
The
this
whole
opening scene is like. Oh, I'll always remember this opening scene. It's so cool.
It's just like they have so much swag.
Yeah.
Everybody
Look at that.
Everybody wants to stand out.
Yeah. And I think you need to when you've been under that much suppression and oppression. There's a need to want to sort of develop your own style.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Okay, we're live again.
Look at that.
Live again. So the second
Joe
hour.
Swales in the house.
Make some noise.
Guys, I have to introduce yourself again. Don't worry about that. But yeah, good discussion.
Subscribe to pick_think.
Pick_think legend.
That's at Twitter. That's the Twitter handle. Then there's pick.think, which is the Instagram handle. And then just pick think, pick PICTHINK after SoundCloud /
Dope. Dope.
Anyway, after that, okay, so now part 2. Guys, after watching both films, which movie would you say you preferred or found more powerful and why?
I think Selma.
Selma.
Just because I think maybe it's a little bit, I'm talking from like a bit more of like a factual basis of, I think he was able to pioneer more change and get like the scenes with the president, like the like he very directly changed things.
Yeah.
And was meeting with the president, and like he was able to get stuff changed.
Get stuff done.
He was able to get white people on board as well, like which I think he had more success with than Max did.
He, as in Martin Luther King. Luther King Jr. Yeah. I kind of saw where you're coming from. Remember when you said that? When you watched Malcolm X, you felt as though you didn't really understand what he did, or like what he.
Well, no, like basically, like it was kind of like, I feel like there's so much negativity in the whole film. Like obviously the start, when he's quite a flawed person at the start of the film, doing dodgy things like robbing and blah blah blah, and then like, I feel like when he's about to kind of almost go to the promised land of like really starting to make some really good impact, he gets killed.
Yeah.
And so like I feel like there's so much negativity that when you're generally watching the film, it's hard to kind of see. There is some positives, but just after watching the film, I forgot the positives because there were so many negatives in it.
Yeah. And I think there's a chapter in Martin Luther King's autobiography that he dedicates to Malcolm X, and then he talks about how he was raised around negativity, and also there's like I don't know, did I send you, or I sent you a document? I sent you guys a documentary, and on that documentary it talks about I think not his debut, but I think one of his most famous interviews. Malcolm X's famous interview, "The Hate That Hate Produced." I don't know if you guys have heard of it. No, but basically is from that title, Martin Luther King kind of says that it kind of tells a lot because it's showing about the bad side of America, what America has produced, to produce someone that's kind of brought about, like that's what's the word? Not ranty. I don't want to say ranty. Has found black nationalism and wanted to segregate from America. So he's saying that all that hate and all calling white people devils and stuff like that, it's all due to the hate that America's shown him.
Yeah, of course. So they created him.
So then it's kind of like, how can you blame him for that? That's kind of the direction.
Yeah, I understand.
Martin
I
Luther
can
King.
understand that.
Yeah, but I get what you mean. Like there is so much negativity around the film, but I feel as though even that is not a plus, but like as such. But it's like it's
I've got a lot.
kind of unveiling the curtains. It's kind of showing this is the dark side of America, and no.
It is good. It is good to see. It's very good to see the truth and to see how bad it was. Because I think it's important to do that with history.
Yeah.
You need to like realize how bad it was.
Yeah.
To even understand how privileged we are today, to have like compared to there, like relative like equality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if we were born 50 years previous, like you know, things wouldn't have been nice for you guys, was it?
Yeah. But that's like, that actually gets onto a question that I wanted to ask later on in the podcast, but we could ask it now. It's basically to give you guys a heads up. It's kind of basically to do with whether like we should exercise our privilege to vote and stuff like that. Should we be appreciative of voting and stuff like that, and participating in politics? Because let's say, for example, if we watch Selma, you see that they've gone through so much just for the ability to vote. They take so much pride in voting. But let's say nowadays people are starting to think, no, that's not that. What is voting like?
I understand that debate. Like, I think sometimes it is maybe a bit lazy to like not even vote. Like, I mean, I must admit though, there has been times when I've not voted.
And I think the thing is you got to look at as well is that most people that are voting, you know, they're thinking, oh, what choice have we got? You know what I mean? Like 3 parties that, you know, pretty much all go to the same. You know, they've all been brought up in the same type of schools, had the same type of education. Do they really represent people that are like ordinary? But I do know what you mean in terms of, years ago, black people weren't vote. So, you know, like in honor of them, we should almost we should exercise this right. But other than that, I wouldn't do it.
Oh, so you would exercise it only because of struggle?
To be honest, I don't feel that, you know, most of the sort of parties are, you know, I feel like they're like the same. Do you know what I mean? Like I think that they're the same, even though Conservatives are different from Labour. I just feel that, like, you know, somebody said to me, "You always know when a politician's lying because his lips are moving." You know,
basically tell lies. But when you think that's a generalisation, though?
No, because like I generally think that like they say things that they're going to do.
Do you know the way I say
don't
that?
happen?
A lot of them lie, right? But then I'm sort of I feel like some lie more than others. So I'm sort of like I'm choosing the person who lies like a bit less. That's why, like at the moment, I don't even think I'm really that biased. Like I voted for. This sounds negative. I voted for Theresa May at the last election because I really dislike Corbyn. That was what it was about for me.
Why is that? But a lot of people say that, but I don't get it. Like,
because he's like a Marxist socialist, and he's just so deluded. He got on a train and made like an Instagram or Facebook thing saying, "Look how bad this carriage is that nobody can even sit down." Virgin released the ticket that they had for him, and then they were like, "You're lying. You're just lying. You had a seat. You're trying to do a big stunt to say the trains are all backwards because he's the opposition, and all he does, like, I know that in a way he's doing his job. He has to criticize the current government, but he seems to just literally just go against every single thing Theresa May says, just for like the sake of giving another reason.
Yeah, but if he was in power, that's what Conservatives would be doing to them.
I get so fed up of seeing him on the TV. Just complaining.
Then why would you say that they're the same? Do you mean that's why they're the same?
If you just look at literally look at politics, like, you know, when you know they got the Houses of Parliament when they're in there and they're like, you know, they're arguing and debating. All it is a massive shouting match where they're just slagging each other off.
I'm just thinking, are we going a bit away from
this was going to be the ending question kind of thing. So remember when I was talking about how I end off with like deeper questions, stuff like that. But it's okay. This stuff happens in conversation. Don't worry.
All they're doing is just slagging each other off. I mean, like.
And now we're slagging them off.
Yeah. but we're like pointing out this is why people don't want to vote. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd agree. Well, they do just seem to slag. They do just
in the thing.
And it's like a lot of it is it's not very. They don't say very concrete stuff. What's really annoys me about politicians. I wish I could think of some examples, but they'll say things like, it's a shambles. What she's doing is leading this country down to the pit. I don't really understand what's going on. Please just tell me like something concrete.
Not just criticize.
Could I say I saw something on the deal like we're going to be, I don't know, losing 5% on profits for such and such reason, then maybe I'll listen.
Do you know one thing that I don't like, right? And it's not just politics. Like, when people get so massive onto like a team, the team mentality, it's just like Team Labour, Team Conservative. Like that stuff is all a lot of BS, right? Because I saw a perfect example today on the TV. These people, the prominent Labour and Conservative people, have both left, like to form a new party called the Independent Party, and it showed the reaction of like for the Labour woman who left, and she actually felt like she'd been bullied a bit. She felt like she saw anti-Semitism in the party, different things like that. And then you see this woman on like a stage in front of a lot of people saying, let's say she's called Sarah Smith. It's like, Sarah Smith is let down this party. She's what is it? She's a traitor to a constituent. She's this and this and this. And they say, what do you think of that? And she went, well, this is the reason I've left. Like, this is the reason I've left, because there's so much toxicity going on in the Labour Party right now. Like, between, like, there's so much disunity, there's so much there's so much bad things going on. Like, just, it's above, like, ideology, this is just people as people. Remember, like, I actually, like, don't want to sound controversial, but, like, when I voted for Brexit, and even though
You just said that online. He voted for Brexit.
Okay, go on.
But like, before Brexit, I never voted for UKIP, but I was glad that the UKIP were there, because that without them being there, I don't think we would have ever had the Brexit vote. But like, I wouldn't vote for them as a party, because they're kind of like nutters. Like they all seem to argue. They've got like, forgetting the ideology, they just seem to just like people just get like shoved out the party. They're so disorganized. It's just a complete. Two of them had a punch up when they went to like Europe somewhere. So it's just, as people, they're just so disorganized. They're trying to form this party, and it's a complete shambles. So like, and I see the same thing going on with the Labour Party. I don't really have anything against that party, but there's something dodgy going inside in the structure of the team of people. Like Corbyn's got completely no control over like all the chaos that's going on right now. And if obviously like the Conservatives are not perfect, but like they're a little bit more like unified as a.
I think there's still cracks in the.
There's cracks.
I mean,
there's definitely cracks
people
as well.
from the Conservative Party,
but just compared to them,
go to the Independent Party as well.
So
there are definitely cracks, and there are people that are actually not happy with Theresa May and the job that she's doing. I would hate to be Theresa May. I would hate to have to sort that whole problem out. She didn't even vote for Brexit. Do you know what I mean?
Why is she leaving the country then?
But Finn didn't want to do it either. But let's get back up to it, because
this is a bit away.
Yeah, this is a bit off. So so after watching the biopic of Malcolm X, before watching the biopic, what were your preconceptions of Malcolm X? And after viewing the biopic, what were your impressions of his character and his life's journey?
Do you know, I'd heard that he was a bit radical.
Yeah.
And he was a bit unorthodox and blah, blah, blah. And I watched the thing, and it reaffirmed like those facts. But I have a more positive, I think I have a more positive image of the person, Malcolm X, and watching the film than all the information I've heard previous. Because I think he's often viewed, and he'll often go down as in history as the kind of more radical version of Martin Luther King. That was less successful. But like, when I watched it, I actually think like he actually did, like, even if he did it by sort of radical means, like I think something needed changing. That was his way of doing it, and I think like it's probably helpful that happened.
I think you touched on two things. One thing when you said that he was going to be counted as the more radical, like he's going to be seen as the racist and all this stuff like that. He kind of mentioned that at the end of his autobiography when I read a little bit of that. He said that he's going to be painted off as a racist, hate, all this stuff like that, rather than like the whole image. But what he wanted to he said that what he wanted to stress is, or what he wanted to represent is like holding up a mirror against America and showing them
that was good.
What America has done to him or like what America has
that
done.
that needed saying.
And that needed doing. Exactly.
And it's good that someone was able to do such a big kind of, you know, like he definitely put his mark on history.
Yeah.
And he got a conversation going.
Yeah.
So I think that was helpful.
Yeah. And second, in Selma, if you clocked on,
there's a scene with them both.
There's a scene with Malcolm X talking to
his wife.
And so then his wife, he was telling his wife that even though I've changed my perspective, allow me being here to give the impression that if the people don't give Martin Luther King what he wants, then there could be a by any means necessary thing.
Yeah, I get it.
So then, like, he was kind of trying to use his image for the benefit of the civil rights movement at the end. Even if it was the negative one, he was willing to kind of be the bad guy. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though he didn't, even though, like, let's say, for example,
it's like taking a burden. That's like that's quite a humble thing to do. Like to be like, I don't mind if I'm known as the this or whatever. Like. Because like someone, you know,
because then it will
he took that burden.
Then so then people look at Martin Luther King as the good guy. So then they'll start giving Martin Luther King what he wants, and knowing that, let's say for example, what the alternative is if you don't.
In a sense, they were quite complimentary to each other without even meaning to.
Yes.
Because like obviously Martin Luther King didn't like Malcolm X, and he's like, I don't like the way you're doing it. That's what I think he says that. He says it to his wife. Like he says the way he's doing it is not right. But like in the end, I think it sort of worked out quite well.
Yeah, I think what you said is right. Like I feel like they complement each other quite well. And let's say, and I think one of the common misconceptions of both is that, let's say, from some Malcolm followers, they think that Martin Luther King is soft and he's advocating non-resistance.
Because he wasn't that at all, was he?
He wasn't that at all. He wasn't advocating giving up and just basically letting white people do what they wanted with you, or just being a good.
Nor was Malcolm X completely hostile. Like
exactly.
A lot of those marches and stuff he did, like they were totally non-violent.
Yeah, exactly. Like even that scene.
In fact, like I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the more violent things came after he died. The more violent protests and stuff in America, it came after Malcolm X had died, like a few years later.
Talking about like the Black Panthers and stuff.
It kind of like
So Black Panther Party. I thought that Martin Luther King was responsible for that.
Not Martin Luther King.
No, sorry, Malcolm X. Sorry, I thought he was responsible for that, wasn't he?
Not responsible, but it's kind of like I think it's like an offspring.
Yeah.
But not in the sense that he intentionally created it, but it was kind of like this spun off from that.
Inspired by his.
But like,
what are your guys' opinion of that? Like now, because I feel like I don't know if like I don't want to sort of generalize, but like because I think like when you say like the terms like Black Lives Matter, that means a whole massive spectrum. There's a huge spectrum of that. You'll get like people that are a bit more like the Black Panthers that are radical, that are like blocking the roads and pissing people off, like. Because people can't get to work and stuff. But then you get like people that are just looking out for Black lives that are doing it in more like peaceful ways. But like, what do you guys think of that?
What exactly?
Well, like
about Black Lives Matter.
Do you think it's good? It's been like a good thing. And like, because it sort of happened at I think about 2015,
2016, yeah.
But then it seemed to have just like faded away. I haven't really heard much of it.
Yeah, it seems like it has. But of course, it's still there. But I think it's. Remember around that time there was a lot of online videos of people being shot, killed.
What don't get about that? That's nothing new. Those shootings have been going on.
No, been going on.
Forever. I guess maybe it's just because social media's like changed.
Yeah, no, it has.
Now it's more got on camera.
No, it has. Even I'm thinking of I think Rodney King. I don't know if you heard of that, the Rodney King tapes, the famous Rodney King tapes. I don't know if you heard it.
I think so.
Yeah, like in America, they used to talk about it all the time, like how I think it was even at the beginning of Malcolm X. That's what they were showing, maybe. Yeah, maybe that's what it was because like. No problem. But what was I saying?
The Rodney King.
Rodney King. Yeah. No, it's been going on for time. It's just been that it's like now social media is such a machine that you can kind of like share whatever it is without any
I'll
filter.
put a positive light on it. There was one in what's that place called? Charlottesville. And it was a white police officer. He was chasing a guy that was a criminal, but it was really out of order what he did because he had a bit of a fight with this guy, and then the black guy ran off and he shot him in the back about 5 times. But because he was on camera, someone else was filming.
Was it like a grassy area?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Because someone else was filming, like now that policeman's in jail for like 15 years. And he's in the same jail as that guy, that radical guy that shot up a black church. He's in the same jail. I think he's called Michael Slater or something.
I don't know.
That's the police officer's name. So I think the good thing what's a good thing about social media, when these things are being caught on camera, you can then there's evidence and blah blah. Because like the Michael Brown case was a bit like that one was a bit deluded because this guy he wasn't a good they tried to portray it like it's like this little kid, but really he was like kind of like 18, like a big guy, massive guy. And the police officer had been on the same streets for like 20 years, never shot anybody. And then he'd shot this guy, and then he almost had to go into like hiding because of the movement. But like really, he was just doing his job because he got in a fight with this guy, and he ended up shooting him. But like,
you're talking about the Michael Brown case.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think CNN had to apologize because they parked the news story before any facts came in, and then it started like a mass protest. They were forced to apologize because they started that protest from false information.
So what did he do that was bad?
Well, he'd robbed a store that morning, and then the policeman had said to him like, "Get off the road! You're walking in the road. Get off the road." So then the guy came towards the policeman and they had like a fight. Yeah. But he punched him in the face, but he was sat in his police car. So then he got his gun out and killed him. The policeman.
Yeah. Wait, so he got punched in the face by
the kid.
Who was where when he punched him? Outside.
Oh, he was outside the. He said to these two guys that walking, go onto the pavement. Then he walks past. He goes up to him and punches him in the face. The guy punches the policeman in the face.
While he was in his car.
And they were sort of grappling each other, grabbing each other, and he got his gun out and he shot him.
Okay.
And I think he died.
Okay. But does that warrant him to pull out his gun though?
Well, I think in a situation like that, you might think you're going to die.
But he might think he's going to die as well. The black guy.
No, but like he started the fight. Like, he had no reason to go over and start.
But the thing is, as a policeman, is your first instinct to pull out a gun on a civilian?
I think.
And should it be? If
there's two guys there, I think in that situation I could see myself doing that. If there's two guys, one guy's massive guy, twice like bigger than me, and he's punching me in the face, and I've got a gun there, like there's two of them. One of you.
Yeah,
like,
okay,
and also when you're exactly, that's what
don't shoot to kill.
Yeah, exactly. When you're a policeman, you're supposed to serve and protect. So if you do shoot, you're supposed to shoot to disarm or shoot to
But I don't feel for the kid because he's going up and punching the policeman.
Hang on a minute. When does
he robbed a store that I've seen a video of the guy the same. Sorry, let me finish.
Yeah.
I've seen a video of the same guy mugging an 80-year-old.
Okay.
Right. There's a video.
I don't know this stuff for sure because I haven't.
But he robbed a store that morning, and he also there's videos of him like mugging an old guy and beating him up, and then taking money out of his pocket.
Are you sure it's the same guy?
Yeah, they found it.
Sure.
I think that there's a difference to going up and mugging somebody, to killing somebody, you know. And I just think that the punishment doesn't fit the crime. Because at the end of the day, if you go,
I don't think it was an intentional killing.
If you go up to someone and punch him in the face, why can't you use pepper spray if it's self-defense? Because pepper spray is
and that's an issue. That's definitely an issue in America, right? Why is it that they're always like
they've got
taser
guns,
first
they've
thing?
got all these things.
They should be tasering first. Yeah.
Using guns.
Maybe he could. I think he argued that like it would have been very easy for him to like after he punched me to go and grab my gun and shoot me.
That was his.
So it's like sometimes in these situations where it's like a bit of a dog-eat-dog world. If you go to Brazil, like it's way more crazy over there. Like there's just shootouts between the police and to civilians.
cartel.
And they're way quicker to shoot because they know that these guys, like these bandits, don't have any fear. They'll just shoot the police.
Yeah.
So, like in a lot, like if you go to in most countries in the world, it's very normal for the police just to kill people because, like, when they're dealing with bandits and stuff, it's like what are you supposed to do?
You're talking about fixed battle here, the battles that they're having, aren't they? These police shootings that people are complaining about in America aren't battle zones. They're more like confrontation.
Yeah, exactly. So
they do shoot.
They're public disorders.
But
they're not.
I think there's so many issues behind it. Like the police don't get paid enough, so you're not getting like the best people. If you put the wages up and make it a bit harder to become a policeman, like then you're gonna get maybe better people that are a bit more passionate about the job. What happens if they're dealing with so much toxicity all day that it wears on them, and then eventually they probably just like, look, if I'm in a situation where this guy's punching me in the face, I'm not gonna take a risk. I don't know him. I'm just gonna shoot him down. I'd rather he die than me.
Those people should not have guns because they are dangerous to society. And people are paying tax to them, pay their wage and their pension, so they can go out and practically shoot people to get their aggression out. Totally wrong. Totally wrong. Unjustifiable killing somebody because they've approached you, punched you in the face. If that was
that's the thing
you
you
get
sign up
thrown at
to
you.
be honest, as a policeman, you sign up to that, so then you should have the patience of a policeman. What's expected of a policeman.
But do you guys like? Could you guys have a bit? Can you guys not?
No.
Could you never imagine yourself being in a situation as a policeman and maybe thinking like, if I don't kill this person now, they're gonna kill me?
No, I can, but as a policeman,
2 guys as well. Like,
but as a policeman,
you've heard that they've just robbed a store as well.
Yeah, so they're probably trying to get away. That's what you got to think. So if you're stopping that person, first of all, you should have had he handled that situation completely wrong. As a police officer, he handled that situation completely wrong. If he saw the suspects there, that alleged to be the suspects, you would have said, put your gun out if you felt that there's 2 people approaching, and said, stand there, and then call for backup.
I don't think
he did not move.
The problem was he didn't have the backup and he didn't know if these 2 were the suspects.
Yeah.
He just saw these 2 guys walking around. He said, guys, like, walk on the pavement.
Yeah. All right.
But anyway, like...
Let's move on. All right, so the original question was, what were your impressions of what were your preconceptions and what were your impressions of his life character and life's journey? And also, did it inspire an interest or further research into his life or of the Nation of Islam or even Sunni Islam?
I did, before watching the movie, I didn't actually realise that the Nation of Islam was actually like the whole brotherhood thing, and it was a whole elevation of black people. I didn't know that, so I learned quite a bit.
Yeah. You know what? You mentioned elevation of black people. I think that's what it was mentioned in Selma as well when they were talking to I don't know if you pay attention to this part where with the guys called SNCC, SMCC. They were I don't know if you in that room where they were talking to the 2 guys, one light-skinned guy and one darker-skinned guy. And then they were basically, then Martin Luther King was asking them, he was saying that, okay, what you guys do is great, and you guys raise black consciousness long-term, and that's great. But what we're trying to do is raise white consciousness. And what we do it through 3 stages. We, negotiate, demonstrate, and resist. You remember that part?
I think I remember, yeah.
You remember that part. So with the SNCC people, SNCC, I think it's Student National something. I keep on forgetting these acronyms. But what they were trying to do is raise black consciousness. Like what you're mentioning, Nation of Islam seems as though it's trying to raise black consciousness.
I think that's quite good.
Yeah, and I feel like that was quite like a good counterbalance. And like what you said earlier, Joe, about how they complemented each other, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. Yeah. Malcolm X seemed as though he was focusing on raising black consciousness and developing a self-love for blackness. Martin Luther King seemed as though he was trying to
change the minds of white people.
Who? Malcolm X?
Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King. But I'm saying Malcolm X was trying to raise black consciousness.
Yeah.
Solely, he wasn't necessarily trying to raise the consciousness of white consciousness.
Yeah.
But he complements Martin Luther King because Martin Luther King is trying to raise white consciousness in a way that it's like, can you guys not see that we are equal as well? We are human as well. We are so and so. Yeah. And like, can you not see that you are committing a violence against us, oppressing us, stuff like that,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So in that way, you complement each other in a way. So, like, let's say, for example, the Nation of Islam, you thought it was good because they're raising black consciousness. But to move on to a question that I did have later, I was going to say, yeah, considering Malcolm X and the teachings of the Nation of Islam, for example, all white people are devils. Did you take it as white hate teachings and black supremacy, or did you view it as self-love and a counterbalance to racism and white supremacy?
Well, I feel with the Nation of Islam is very suspect.
Yeah.
Because firstly, you've got the Elijah Muhammad, who's really venerated,
Mm-hmm.
and that automatically makes you think of it as a kind of cult.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I kind of think the way he's preaching enmity towards white people is kind of a way to unify his own followers against a common enemy, and therefore unified behind him.
I think that's accurate.
Yeah, and I think so. So almost like a manipulation, really, of his people.
So a manipulation of their own suffering for his own personal exaltation. Yeah. I did get that feeling as well. And also, it was kind of like it was very like when watching the Malcolm X thing, it was very cringy, very like disturbing how dedicated he was to Elijah Muhammad. He would mention Elijah Muhammad all the time.
All
the time. So then it felt as though like, and even in his autobiography, he mentioned how when he left the Nation of Islam and then he was writing the autobiography, he was reading through some of the past things and then he wanted to make edits to it. And then Alex Haley said, "Oh no, don't do edits. Remember, you said that you didn't want to make edits, so then you wanted to show a genuine flow of how you changed." So then, after arguing with Alex Haley, Malcolm X said, "Okay, you know what? Yeah, let's stick with what you're saying. Let's stick with it." But then apparently Alex Haley said that he used to kind of wince a bit when he used to read over certain things.
Oh, certain things he used to say.
When he used to say it, like with Elijah.
Well, that's the thing. People like Malcolm X, when they've just come out of prison, they really need a positive role model. So there'll be, and Elijah Muhammad fitted the bill, you know. So they were very prone, I guess, to.
Do you think like it's worth saying that? I feel like I see it from a bit of a religious point of view, where Martin Luther King was doing the Christian thing of like turn the other cheek, and Malcolm X was doing the kind of Muslim thing of like an eye for an eye, and ultimately Malcolm X's idea wasn't going to be a successful long-term solution.
That's what Martin Luther King says. But I suppose the thing is, what the way that it gets into the nitty-gritty thing is like, it's not necessarily the way I take what Malcolm X was saying is that it wasn't necessarily an eye for an eye, but it was more so like self-defense, like intelligent self-defense. Like if someone is going to try and murder you, how are you not trying to defend yourself? You want to live. Everyone wants to live. Everyone wants to defend themselves. Everyone wants to live as long as possible. If someone is coming to you, how are you just going to turn the other cheek?
Yeah, that's why that policeman was probably shot.
But that's why I get what you mean. Like, I understand what you're saying. It's like, but the thing is,
try to sneak it in.
But
He's a little cat. Feline.
But the thing is, with policemen though, you are trained to be much more patient. You should be trained to be much more patient and try to avoid that.
Yeah, we got a better system in America. Because I know about the guy in London, his sister's a complete nutter.
You mean UK?
The UK,
got a better system,
yeah.
And his sister's gone totally off the rails. Just really lost it. She kept on going out drunk driving and just crashing cars and stuff. And they had to actually call the police one day. And she went out and she got like a knife. And she started waving the knife at the policeman. But he didn't panic at all. And he obviously, he didn't get any taser or gun or anything. But I felt like, gosh, if that had happened in America, she would have just been shot dead. But like here, like I can feel the police are a bit more restrained to like get. Our police don't have guns. So like it's just a blessing to live in a country without like
with police without guns.
Or just people without guns.
People without guns.
Because in America, like that's the issue. Like so many people in America have guns. Well,
yeah.
I think that's a massive issue,
the
to be
that's
fair,
the issue, yeah.
yeah.
I think it's yeah.
I think that's that kind of plays into
Exasperates a
your
lot of
favour.
those problems.
I think that exasperates the problem, and I think it plays to what you're saying.
Anyone
about
can have a
how
gun.
It can't go long term. This whole self-defense thing can't go long term.
At least in France, where the police have guns, you know that the civilians don't. But
Yeah.
you've got a situation where the police have got guns.
And the civilians have got guns.
As soon
It's
as
just
there's
cowboy
conflict,
country.
it's gonna try. Yeah.
Cowboy country, yeah. I think that's what it is. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what it is. That civilians have it as well as the.
But they love it over there. Like, you try and convince Americans to get rid of guns.
No,
they don't
right.
want it.
Yeah.
They're like, no, the guns. We want guns. Like, most people say, we just want the guns. So
But I
give
think
the people what they want.
it's because of like there's part of the amendment.
Because people are silly. They don't. People don't know what they want. I think.
I agree with you.
I think that's why we have government. Well, we should. I think that's the ideal of government because they need to govern. Like, they need to be the mind of the people.
Yeah.
The body of people, because people don't. People, like, if it was up to people and their own devices, they'd probably ride on motorcycles without helmets. You know what I mean?
Well, they do that. They do that in America as well.
Yeah. No, what I'm
Isn't
saying-
it laws?
yeah. So what I'm saying is that
Really?
like,
You can go on the in Texas. You can go on the back of a train
Then we
and
agree.
just like sit there.
yeah, originally we
That's
resisted.
not-
but
I was
then-
driving down the road one time, and there was like, I looked to the left, and there was a wheel that big because they don't have regulations on how big the vehicles are. And I'm like, gosh. And then I look on my right, and there's another big wheel there. I'm like, if these guys just like go in like that, I'm
You're just
crushed.
finished.
I'm crushed.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on.
America do quite a lot of things stupid.
I don't think they're stupid, but I do think they have stupid laws.
They have stupid ways.
The amendment, the Second Amendment, whatever, against a tyrannous government. Like, that's why they don't have guns.
They need to move on.
That's
They're not.
That's
They're
why
not
they
think
don't
they
have guns. Or
that's why they do have guns.
they've got to move on. That was like in 1865 when that was written. Right?
I think that what they should do is if they're not going to change that law because they all go mad over having like the Second Amendment, then they should like prevent people from having guns, taking guns from their homes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or something like
Yeah,
that.
I agree.
Rather than
All right. So
take the amendment.
let's move on. Okay. So before watching the historical drama of Selma, what did you expect from Selma? After watching the historical drama, did it inspire an interest or further research into Martin Luther King's life or the civil rights movement in general? And if so, what aspects of that?
I haven't really looked at it yet, but I'm interested. You know, at the end of the film, it shows you that the senator or governor of Alabama, he got assassinated 12 years later
Yeah.
after he tried to be president 3 times. And it says like various other people got assassinated, and
Yeah.
Martin Luther King got assassinated, obviously. I'm interested just kind of like to look at the history of America between 1965 and like say 1980
Yeah.
to see like what happened next, because I only really know like the day to day, and I know what happened 1965 and everything, but I don't really know what happened in between.
Day to day, you said.
Like no, like what happened between, like how like after like the what's that equality law in like the
1964 Civil Rights Act.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like what happened, like I'd be interested to see what legislations came after that, and then how like equality got better and better, because I think realistically, like, okay, it's not maybe 100% equal now, but like legally by the law, America is it is equal for everybody, regardless of gender, race, sexual orientation, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
By the law, it is.
Yeah.
It is in theory, but in practice, it isn't.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
But like.
But that's pretty much what Selma is about, because in law, that's why he said technically you guys are already allowed to vote. But then, like what Martin Luther King was saying is that technically we are, but there's all these there's this systematic barrier that's stopping us from.
Like in the opening scene where she comes out, I want to register to vote, and he says name like all the different, what is it? I can't remember now.
All the different 67
sheriffs, the 67 sheriffs or something.
Something like that. County.
Yeah,
nice.
And I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, nobody knows that.
Yeah, exactly. So that was
making it impossible.
It made it impossible for them, making barriers and hindrances for them. So basically, I think that was one of the things.
Do you know actually a good film to watch?
What
is Clash of the Titans, because that shows you America in like 1970 when like whites and blacks were forced to kind of in schools and stuff were forced to be together. Okay. And there was issues in like South Carolina and all these southern states initially because they didn't want to mix.
Yeah.
And whites and blacks were like each other like in the schools, and there was a lot of, like and then like in the Clash of the Titans film, they're forced to be together through football. And it's just a whole film about like a white school coming together with a black school, and then like they sort of come together. They're like getting on really well together, and then when they go back to their schools, like there's a scene where this white and black guy are like best friends now, and he's like, "Oh, this is my girlfriend," and he goes out to shake her hand, and she doesn't want to shake his hand, and it's like, oh my gosh, like these guys are still.
They still got their.
We were like we got together on playing football, and we've learned to get on, but like the rest of the schools don't want to, you know, like get together like that.
Yeah.
So it took a long time for them to really like mix.
I'm gonna watch that. I'm gonna check that film. I'm gonna put it on my watch list.
It's got Denzel Washington as well.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, guys. Do you guys want to answer the question before I move on as well, or?
Oh,
you remember?
Yeah, it showed me a little bit of it. You know, I was just remembering the question. Yeah, I've looked at a little bit of stuff, so it did inspire me to look at a little bit of Martin's life. Yeah, I didn't really know much about his life before I watched the film, so it was interesting.
Yeah, it did inspire you, kind of think, oh yeah, actually, I would want to kind of make the time to probably like not necessarily read everything about him, but like let's say find out here and there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And I didn't know he had an autobiography as well. So I think that's worth having a look at.
What about you?
Interesting. It was like interesting, historical and educational. I think, and it just it's just interesting because you generally, if you don't watch those films, you generally don't know the details and like the whole Selma Bridge thing. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I didn't know
Princess Bridge. I didn't know about it.
Sorry.
No.
That that was it for me. I just thought it was good.
Yeah,
it's
so
generally a good watch.
Are you gonna do further research?
Yeah, no, definitely for sure.
What areas do you reckon?
Just into the whole, like into the more into the. I might even get Malcolm X's book. If you got it, you can lend it to me. And if you've got Martin Luther King's book, I'll read that.
Can I borrow Martin Luther King? And then Malcolm X, we'll do a swap.
Yeah. So it's generally just helped my interest with the whole thing.
No problem. Yeah, I'll give it to you guys after the session.
Yeah.
If you have, if you want it straight away.
If that's all right.
Okay. So then after that, why?
He makes me he says he's just like, if you offer anything to Joe, he'll always say yes. It's like
Alright, so after viewing both Malcolm X and Selma, which scenes or ideas resonated most with you? Are there any scenes or ideas reminiscent of any others outside of these films?
I'll be honest, right? I cried a lot. I couldn't stop crying at the end of the film.
Which one?
It shows you
Which one?
Selma, when it shows you the original, well, both films, but especially in Selma, when it's kind of a cry. It was like a crown of happiness because it shows the original footage of when they walked across the bridge, and all that, and then you see like him do the speech, and you hear about the positive change that actually happened, and it's just like, I just honestly, I got crying when I saw that. But I also cried a lot. I only cried once in the Malcolm X film, and that's when he got killed at the end. Because I just felt like, again, it was like in a way where it's like, I feel like he could have been so much more if he was given a bit more time. Because I really started to like. It was the first time in the film I really liked him. When like he becomes a really good husband to his wife, and he listens to her at the end. Like all that,
that's when he fully, like I said earlier.
I feel like he's sort of become a man. Like I really feel like he kind of grew into the best version of himself by that point. And I feel like if he'd had more time, he would have gone on and he could have pioneered more change.
Yeah, that's why it's so tragic as well. Because it's like he went on the pilgrimage, he changed. He actually realized that it's not whiteness itself that's bad.
Yeah, and also not that like
blackness. Sorry,
I think like Martin Luther King, like. He definitely achieved so much so that obviously it would have been good if he'd lived longer as well. But like I felt like he'd really done a lot and he'd really started something and managed to achieve like most of the things he could. And I think it was even said that when he went to Memphis, he wasn't expecting to survive that.
when he went to Memphis. When was this? Was this in the,
The
film?
people,
Or was
no,
it
no,
like
this is real.
real life?
I've watched
Oh,
it.
he actually. When did he die? Actually.
He died in Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, so he
He
did.
went north to Tennessee because so many people said to him, the people around him, they said, you probably, like, they're a bit more like, they're going to be more resistant to change. Like, you've started something here, but they're not ready for you. So many people told him not to go because they were like, and I think, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure this is true. Like, he basically said, like, I'm ready. Like, look, I could die.
Yeah.
I could easily. This could easily be
No,
the end of my life.
No, actually.
But like, so I think in a sense, it was like, Malcolm X definitely kind of didn't want to die there, did he? He wanted to carry on, but Martin Luther King was willing to die.
Yeah.
I think at that point he was like, look, I'm gonna try something here. If it goes wrong, like, but I've got to do this. He really felt compelled to do it.
You know what? Like, I don't think you're telling a lie or getting your information wrong, because he has a speech. Martin Luther King has a speech. He said something about I've been to the mountaintop.
Yeah.
So he's referring to how him.
Yeah, that's
that
a famous one, isn't it?
Yeah. So then it's kind of like that was just before his death, and he said that I might not see that land with you. That kind of thing. So I think he knew his own death as well.
Yeah.
So and I
didn't he get killed by? He got killed by clans.
I don't know who it is, but
I think
know
it's a white supremacist guy.
Yeah. I don't know all the details, but and also to your point about Malcolm X. A part of me feels like he knew he was going to die, and I feel like he kind of wanted to kind of give up the whole self-defense thing.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is because all through, well, partly because I read the autobiography, it seems as though he was kind of he actually said to Alex Haley, the person who was doing the autobiography, that he's getting tired of all the hate messages, of all the death threats, of all the attempts on his life. Imagine, actually, he's been like, he had to stay in one instance. He had to stay in his hotel room where he had, like, I think it was Nation of Islam.
Yeah, that was
outside of his
good.
hotel room, and then also when he was in a car, and he was riding, and then I think Nation of Islam members were kind of coming right by the car that he was in, and I think they were armed. So then he grabbed, I forgot who he was with, but he grabbed either an umbrella or I think it was a walking stick, and pretended like it was an assault rifle, and pointed it towards the window, and then they fell back.
Right.
Stuff like that. Yeah. And also there was another thing as well. Oh, the famous picture. I don't know if you guys know it. The picture of him with the AK-47. Malcolm X.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me show you. But yeah, that was like and I feel like when I was reading the foreword of the autobiography, it felt as though it was. He was doing that. He was showing that he was armed, not for the sake of the fact that he wanted to kill anyone, but because he wanted people to know that he's ready. So then he wanted to do it like a deterrent for anyone that was trying to attempt on his life.
Yeah.
So then I felt as though he was doing it more like also like what I was talking about earlier. Like, he said that self-defense is more intelligent, because if someone knows that you're not armed, they're probably thinking, easy. But I think what he's trying to think of is that I am armed.
Call the bluff.
Like like this scene that we're watching now. You know when he's doing the Russian roulette. It was a bluff. So then I feel like he's not say that he's like, what's the word, like a faker, but I feel as though he's too intelligent.
He's quite clever. He's got emotional intelligence.
Yeah, he's too intelligent to kind of.
But
like,
I think
to put all his faith in guns and stuff like that. I think he's just using it as like this is like the obvious thing to
I don't know if it's worth saying. When I was in South Dallas, this is just before I came back to England. I got in a situation where, again, the Holy Spirit was telling me there's something dodgy going on. A homeless guy, this was at night time, a homeless guy had said, do you want to have like a meal? Sorry, he asked me for money. So I said, no, I'll pay for your hotel. So I ended up walking around with all the missionary guys. There's about 10 of us. He took us on this wild goose chase, walking all over the place. And I just said to him, I thought, I'm going to let him know, like, it's a lie. But I thought, this is dodgy. We're in South Dallas, really rough area. I was like, just so you know, mate, we're all packing. So I lied. I said that we all have guns on us because I thought he was about to set us up for like an ambush. We were about to all get robbed or something. So, and then when I said that, about 2 minutes later, he was like, "Do you know what, guys? Don't worry about it." And then he walked off, and we left him. And I was like, "It was a good job I said that."
Yeah.
So sometimes you've got to call the bluff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite an extreme example. I've not been in that many situations like that.
No, but that shows the situation. What we're trying to stress, like, or what Malcolm X was trying to stress, is that we do need to self-defend.
Yeah,
like we do need to. Like,
I'm going to plant this in this guy's head, so
Yeah.
if he's thinking of like robbing us, he knows that he doesn't want that problem with 10 guys that have got guns.
Yeah.
Like, so I'll just get another sucker.
Yeah.
and
I
try
mean,
and
I
rob him.
do think that if you compare the two people, you know, like and like the legacies that they left, I'd say that like Malcolm X is not, when you watch the film, you feel that like Malcolm X is like you know, he's not so bad as we thought, sort of thing, type of thought. But actually, like Martin Luther King, I think that he was a bit more emotionally intelligent than Malcolm X.
Okay.
I think in terms of the like what they're both trying to achieve, you have to say, like, you know, what have they both, you know, what did they both do after their deaths? Do you know what I mean? How was, like, you know, was their lives and what was their sort of like core lives after they died? Would you say that like they achieved what they set out to achieve? And I think if I was to ask that question, I'd have to say that Martin Luther King's approach was more. It did more for the whole sort of like ultimate goal. His ultimate goal and chief aim, which was actually to sort of create more equality.
Yeah.
I think with what he did, that was more poignant to, you know, what we saw after with equality and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
but yeah.
But I think
When you say that, when you say his goal, so like if we're gonna say like he
His
probably
goal.
did more for
His
getting
goal.
His goal.
equality
Yeah.
for blacks in America.
Mm.
Was Malcolm X, was his goal not that?
No, it was when he became Haj Malik El Shabazz. It was, I suppose, but it was weird one. I think he was still molding like his own idea of what he wanted, but I think he was still about. Yeah, I think he was still molding like what his idea was going to be, and I think if he didn't face so much death threats and stuff, I think he would have been able to kind of express what that idea would have been. But I feel as though before, when he was Malcolm X in the Nation of Islam, it was segregation.
Right.
And it was like an understandable segregation, like where it was like, if these people don't want us here, let's build for ourselves.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that kind of fits in with, you know what? Because I was thinking that, okay, is Martin Luther King more, what's the word? Is he adhering to religion more, or is Malcolm X? When I think about the segregation thing, it feels as though that's more. That seems like it's very close to religion as well. Because let's say, for example, if we take the Moses story, they wanted, in the Exodus story, they wanted to basically have a set aside day. They went to Pharaoh. They wanted a set aside day where they could worship God. The Pharaoh wasn't allowing that, and then he just said, "Let my people go to worship on the, let's say, on the Sabbath, basically on the Sabbath."
Yeah.
But then they weren't allowing it. Then they just left and then became their own people after that. So then it's kind of like the way I see it as similar to what Malcolm X might have been trying to advocate.
Yeah.
When he was in
Which
the
is
Nation of Islam.
which is a bit different. So which shows that Nation of Islam is a bit different to normal Islam, because I think Islam's like Christianity in the sense that they're trying to evangelize their religion to the world and spread it to everyone.
Yeah.
Nation of Islam was only for black people, trying to keep it within black people. Like, because we see it in the film when he goes off to like Egypt and stuff. He's like, oh wow, he opens his eyes. He's like, there's Muslims that are different skin colors and stuff. It's not just for blacks.
Yeah. But that's what I mean, as in like when I'm saying about like which one adheres to religion more. Because let's say, for example, if we take that Old Testament story, it seems as though these specific people wanted to were destined. Let's say, for example, God wanted them to separate themselves from Egypt.
Mm.
If it's one day, if it was one day out of the week, if it was 2 days or whatever, a set time, yeah, basically. And it seems as though what I'm trying to stress is that which one was more is more I don't want to say biblical, or is which one is doing more what God wants?
Definitely Martin Luther King.
Definitely Martin Luther King, if we take into consideration New Testament as well. But if we take into consideration that Old Testament story, it seems as though this has been happening since even times of Moses, where it seems as though the people will just have to separate themselves. If they're being oppressed by certain people, they should just separate themselves.
Yeah, that's what they do. Like the Israelites, when they flee from the Egyptians.
That's what I'm saying.
They do completely separate.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So then that's what I'm thinking. Wait, who is really?
But then, like, I guess that's the thing. It's like, realistically, they're segregating from like the white. Let's say, like, for argument's sake, I don't completely believe this now in 21st century, but at the time, the sort of white power structure, right? They want to separate from that system. That system is only like the ruling class of like 2% that are ruling the country, but it's not the everyday people. So it's like you're segregating yourself to like that group, but like it's not like most white people have got a problem with you, like Malcolm X. It's just like the laws and the people, the powers that be and stuff. It's like.
What do you mean? Wait, hold on.
It was a generational thing. A generation of people that didn't.
If you went back, we don't know what people's minds were. Like, if you went back to like 100 years ago, do you think like every white person in the country just sitting in the houses and just be like, "Oh, I don't like blacks"?
Well, no,
like, not everyone, but
a lot of them was.
Do you think like a lot of that's most people's ideas?
Yeah, it was a lot.
Wasn't it just the government and the people?
In this film, the very
no, because it wasn't just the government, because it was like, let's say for example, you'd have like, let's say in Selma, you'd have the odd majority of the country.
Odd good person.
The odd good person. You'd have like the Reverend James Reed, who got killed by who came to Selma to show his support. You'd have Viola.
Wait,
wait, hold on, let me finish. Then you'd have people that were. You'd have the people that would help. Then you'd have the people that would hinder. There are still certain white people that would like, one thing we don't like about niggers is white niggers or whatever.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
You'd have both. You'd have
The
both
ones
sides.
who sit on the fence.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
not good to generalize, is it? Too much, like, because we maybe have this idea in our mind that like all white people wanted slavery and blah blah blah. But if that was the case, it never would have changed.
No, of course.
Like Abraham Lincoln, obviously, they changed that.
No, but the fact that there is resistance shows that it was like. The fact that there was resistance, and rather than like, okay, for example, if I'm using this example, actually, we know that majority of people aren't vegetarian because there's no laws that prevent people from eating meat.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is that we know that, let's say, the fact that a majority of the people were racist because they didn't implement these laws that were in favor of black people.
But most people are making those decisions. That's the thing. Like,
so you're making it sound as if there was just a couple of people in power who were making these decisions, and everyone else was like, "Oh, we're all right with that."
No, I'm not saying everyone else was all right with that, but I'm just thinking it's like the way. Maybe like just I'm thinking of it because the way I feel like if you compare the Malcolm X thing to the Martin Luther King, you get a completely different perspective on white people. The white people in the Selma, a lot of them are on board with what he's doing. You don't see that much in the Malcolm X.
Yeah, but that's because it was non-violent protest, and his approach, and that's what I'm saying. His approach was one where, you know, like a Gandhi or like a, you know, it was non-violent. You know, like you have like.
And he wanted to integrate as well. Sorry.
Nelson Mandela as well. You know, before I'm pretty sure like he was the same person. Yes, he did change, but he was pretty much against like, you know, the whole apartheid thing and everything else, right?
Yeah.
And he got put in prison because he actually killed somebody, you know, or it was basically the ANC party did believe in violence to get the point across. But the reason why they sort of took to him a lot more was because when he came out of prison, he wasn't like, you know, doing what everybody expected, which was being violent. Yeah. So I think he was able to get his message across more loudly, and especially in the fact, and I think Martin Luther King was able to do that, especially in the face of violence. When people are being violent towards him and he turns the other cheek, I think it shows people that actually what you're doing is so wrong because this person, it puts a massive mirror in front of the person, which is the exact thing that Malcolm X was trying to do, but I don't think achieved it as well as Martin Luther King, which was to say that basically you're wrong because even though you're going to do all that sort of stuff, I'm not gonna fight back, and my actions in not doing what you deserve and giving to you what you deserve shows what you're doing is completely wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it wasn't that people weren't racist and stuff, because it clearly was. There's been loads of social injustice in America because of racial tensions.
There's still racist people now. I met them.
Yeah.
Like I met some guy in a trailer. This is so stereotypical, but it's true. And like the guy warned me about it. Like the son, he warned me about it. But like there was a German guy with me, and this guy said the N-word about 20 times in a minute. And he also said to my friend, "Was like, are you a Nazi? Because you're from Germany." He was like, "No," and then he said, "Oh, not all the Nazis were that bad." So this guy was like loopy, like. But that's not.
He said not all the Nazis were that bad.
The German guy said that.
No, not the German guy. The American trailer trash guy.
He said that not all Nazis are that bad.
He said not. No, sorry. He came right. Me, this Englishman and a German man walk into. It's like a joke. An Englishman and a German man walk into a trailer.
Yeah.
The American guy says, old guy, really old guy, who lives complete in the countryside, away from the rest of society, just in his trailer with his wife and in a totally different world to most people. Like, he started saying the N-word so many times, like almost within about 5 seconds of meeting me. It was so weird.
Yeah.
And then he said, "Who's the German?" And this guy puts his hands up and he's like, "Why don't you have a mustache like Hitler?" And he's like, "Because I'm not a Nazi." And he goes, "Oh, don't worry about it. Not all the Nazis were that bad." So this guy was far right.
Okay, I'm struggling to like.
Well, do you think it's a bit? Can you imagine it being a bit of an odd experience for me, walking into a trailer, hearing an old guy that I've never met before, within 5 seconds of meeting him, he's spouting off the N-word for no reason.
Yeah.
It's a bit dodgy, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. But I mean, like,
so there's still racist people today.
Yeah, but I think it's the whole.
But he's not in power. Like
I think the thing that I'm confused about is the whole all Nazis aren't that bad thing. Like, why did he say that?
Because he was quite extreme. He had
Nazis, isn't it?
No, he was saying. My friend Malta said, who was German, said, "I don't have a mustache. I'm not." He's like, I'm not Hitler. I don't believe in Nazi ideas." And then,
well, that was
my friend said that. Then the American guy says, "Not all the Nazis were that bad." So he's saying some of the Nazis were good.
We're just talking about some eccentric guy who lived in.
Yeah. But I've definitely heard other racist people.
We know there's lots of racist people.
There's loads.
There's racist people all over the world. To be honest.
Yeah.
But it doesn't.
What you were saying about Martin Luther King taking the moral high ground, I was just reminded me of a scripture which says, "If your enemy is hungry, give him food to eat, and if he is thirsty, give him water to drink. In doing this, you will heap burning coals on his head, and the Lord will reward you." I think that's kind of like what Martin Luther King did, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like
Dr.
Gandhi and stuff like that. Dr. King.
Yeah.
That's a more respectful way.
Yeah, I think that's a good. That's a good.
I just thought that.
Well, thanks for that's good to get the Bible verse.
Yeah, it's good to get the Bible verse.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting that in. Let's get on to. Let's stop part 2. There.
Yeah.
And go on intermission.
Oh, so we're going to part 3.
How many parts we got to this, bro?
No, we
Till
can
food
finish.
arrives.
No, we can finish.
It's not arrived yet.
Wait, can you just like chase it up?
No, because the reason why I wanted to end there as well, because obviously the food. Because I was thinking in my head, I was thinking, the food should be coming in time soon.
Yeah.
So,
Seriously.
and also the
Moral of the story, guys: don't be racist.
No, let's go, guys. Don't.
now normally I'll just have the session only 1 hour. I expected it to be 2 hours.
You can edit it.